Let's start our class by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to continue one of our sections in chapter 3, that's regarding door. In Pali we call Dvāra. So far we have discussed 4 sections in the 3rd chapter. What are them? Vedana, feelings. There are 5 types of feelings. Then hetu, how many roots? There are 6. Greed, hatred, delusion, non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion. Then next section, functions. How many functions? There are 14 functions. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, adverting, receiving, investigating consciousness, determining consciousness, then javana and tadarammana, registration, also patisandhi, bhavanga chuti, rebirth linking, life continuum and death consciousness. So far we have discussed 14 functions. And last week we discussed about objects or arammana in Pali. Generally, how many objects? In simple, Rupa, Sabda, Gandha, Rasa, Pottāpa, Dhamma. Visible object, sound, smell, taste, tangible object, and we also remain that term as Dhamma objects. Today we are going to discuss Dvāra or doors. What's the meaning of doors? So we know simply door means Dvāra means doors. Today we will discuss several subtopics. Those are the main sections. Today we are going to discuss. What are them? First, we will try to understand. We already know actually what are these doors, 6 doors, and which chittas arise through these doors. Then we classify those chittas and doors with regards to 1 door consciousness, 5 door consciousness, and 6 doors consciousness. Finally, door free. So, what should be understood? So, in this section, we have to focus which chittas arise through those particular specific doors, and what are the chittas that have access to 1 door, 5 doors, 6 doors, and what are the door-free consciousness. So there are 2 types of door-free. Later on we will discuss. These are the main sections. Today we are going to, main subsections. Today we are going to discuss. Okay, let's move into the doors. What is the meaning of doors? That's simply, we can translate, interpret. Door is a place where people go in and out. in our home or in our office or wherever. Through this door, we can go in and come out. Similarly, those doors allow object to enter in. And because of these doors, they open thought process to go out. So this is like a simile, no? So not exactly. So it's not like going something from I, something out from I or like this. We should understand in the according to the thought process. Let's think about our eye door. If we close our eyes, can we see objects? Visible objects? We cannot. When you open our eyes, we can see visible objects. That means it's opened the door to see the visible object, to impinge, to strike visible objects. It's like an opening door to the visible objects. And after that, what happened? When visible object strikes with eye sensitivity, it starts thought process, like receiving consciousness, investigating consciousness, and so jhana consciousness in this way. Similarly, ear door, nose door, tongue door, body door, and mind door. There are 6 doors: eye door, ear door, nose door, tongue door, body door, and mind door. Why it is called as door? The reason is it allows object to enter or strikes. And also because of these doors, through these doors, thought process starts. Because of those 2 reasons, we call them doors. They have a similar nature of the doors. That's why we call them doors. So what are ultimately, what are these doors? So eye door means not actually whole eyeball. Sayadaw U Sīlānanda mentioned that. So his idea is it may be probably on the retina. That's his idea. It almost same with biological sense. He gives an idea that its eye sensitivity almost should be on the retina. It is a sensitivity part of the eye where the visible object strikes, not the entire eyeball, entire eye. It's inside. That would be something, the place, sensitive place for visible objects. Then ear door means, so I don't know the English term, so when we see the anatomy of the ear, we can see there is like a ring inside. So it sensitive to vibrations. So usually scholars say that it should be that the sensitive place that's in that area that we call like a ring. That sensitive matters are called eye sensitivity. So here in this section we call it as eye door. Then what is nose door? The sensitive part of the nose through which you experience smell, not the entire nose. Inside the nose there are some, biologically we say some cells, no? ultimately we say some sensitive matters, sensitive materiality to smells. These sensitive parts are called nose door. In this section, also we call nose sensitivity also. So next section, we will give the same name as their bases. That's in another aspect. So in the tongue door, sensitive parts in the tongue through which we experience taste. For example, when we eat something, we feel taste as well as we feel hot and cold. What we feel hot and cold, that's not a tongue door. By which we experience taste, that is the sensitive parts to taste. These cells or these sensitive materialities are called tongue sensitivity. In this section, we call tongue door. Body door is not like the limited to part, the only special body parts. Body door is all over the body. Outer skin and inner skin and inside the body. That's why we feel pain inside and outside of our body. But in Abhidhamma it said that except the tip of the hairs, tip of the nails and dry skins, we cannot find body door in dry skin and tip of the nails and tip of the hairs. I think this is something related with the nervous system. So we can't compare everything with biologically, but there should be some connection with our nervous system. Then last one, mind door. What is mind door? In Abhidhamma, can you remember Bhavanga Chitta, life continuum consciousness? We have discussed in section 1 regarding functions. How many Bhavanga Chittas? There are 19 Bhavanga Chittas. So these Bhavanga Chittas are the mind door. In Abhidhammattha Saṅgaha, he said that Manodvaram pana bhavanganti pauchyati. Manodvara means Bhavanga consciousness or life continuum consciousness. So first we should understand what are the doors. Then let's try to understand thought process in brief. We have already discussed this thought process to some extent. What happened? So almost, so when we are sleeping or without having a special object, so Bhavanga Chitta arises again and again. When object strikes, it vibrates. After that, it stops. Then door-adverting consciousness arises, either fido or mind-door-adverting consciousness. Here we give example for Ido. I think you can remember that the simile that we have discussed for several times about the simile of the mango, man sleeping under the mango tree, covering his head. Then suddenly, one mango fruit fell down. Then he could hear the sound. Then he opens his cloth, covering, blanket. Then he turns, he sees, he turns his body and he sees the mango. And what happened? He stretches his hand and take mango with his hand. Then he checked whether it's ripened or not. He squeezed it, then you want to confirm whether it's ripened or not. Then he smells, or he could get the good smell. Then what happened? He cut, then he eats. After eating, there are some particles, food particles on lips. He licks and again fell into sleep. That's how we explain thought process with the simile of mango. Sleeping is like bhavanga chitta. It's like the object, fell down, or can be compared to the vibrating. Then he stops his sleeping, interrupt his sleeping. He opens his covering. It's ending of his sleeping. Then what happens? He turns his body. It's like a 5 sense-dove adverting or mind sense-dove adverting consciousness. Here we take 5-dove Panchadvara Vajjana Chitta. Then he opens his eyes. He can see mango. That's like eye consciousness or seeing consciousness. Then he take the mango with his hand. It's like a receiving consciousness, sampatichana. Then he squeeze it. It's like a investigating consciousness, santirana chitta. Then he smells it. It's like a determining consciousness, vottabhana chitta. After that he eats. When he eats, he can take the taste completely. That's like javana chitta. After that, there are some particles. He licks, particles on the lips. He licks and fell into sleep. That's like he takes the particles that are on the lips. That's like tadarammana chitta. We have discussed this simile several times. So with this simile, we can understand also the thought process through these doors. So what are the chittas arise through eye door? After bhavanga, stopping the bhavanga, what happens? Chitta adverts. There is one function that adverts towards that object. That's we call Panchadvara Vajjana Chitta. Please try to understand the process. Then you can memorize these numbers easily. Otherwise, it will be difficult to take the just numbers. When you understand the procedure, then you can count what are the chittas. So now you know there should be adverting consciousness. That's Panchadvara Vajjana Chitta. After that, eye consciousness arises. First, what happened? It strikes visible object, then 5 sense-dove adverting consciousness, Panchadvara Vajjana Chitta, advert mind stream towards that object. That's Panchadvara Vajjana. Then eye consciousness arises, seeing. Then receiving consciousness arises. How many receiving consciousness? 2 sampatichana chittas. Then investigating consciousness arises. Santirana chitta. Then determining consciousness. Vottabhana chitta arises. Then kamavachara javana arises. How many kamavachara javanas? I think you can remember. Please recall your previous lessons. Among the 14 functions, there is one function we call javana function. How many javana chittas? There are 55 javana chittas. In this section, you have to pay attention for 2 functions especially. What are these 2 functions? Javana function and investigating function. here we divide Javana Chittas into two sections. What are the two sections? Kamavachara Javana and Appana Javana. Kamavachara Javana means the Javana Chittas included in Kamavachara section. Appana Javana means the Javana Chittas included in Rupavachara, Arupavachara and Lokuttara. In other words, sublime and Lokuttara. Sublime and Supramande. Suppose when we see something, when visible object strikes, at that time, can get the absorption concentration, jhana concentration, it cannot. Because that's why when we do meditation, we close our eyes. We cannot get jhana consciousness or Maggapala Chittas through idol. They happen through mind. So easily understand. When we see visible object, usually if it's desirable, our mind tends to attach it. That means which chitta arises? Lobhamula chitta may arise. So you can see here, akusala, indakusala. Or undesirable object, our mind tends to get angry with it. That means dosa mula chitta. Sometimes vichikiccha arises, doubt, restlessness. So when we see something, two akusala chittas may arise. Then can you remember some incidents of the Buddha and Arahants? When Buddha sees something, special thing, then he smiles. For Arahants, we call that chitta hasituppada chitta. Suppose when we see Buddha's statue, or when we see monks are going arms round, at that time, wholesome consciousness arises in our mind. How many wholesome consciousness? In Kamavachara Kusala, Mahakusala, 8. Either Upekkha, Somanasa, Jnana Sampayutta, Jnana Vipayutta, Asankarika, Sasankarika. Also for Arahants, what happens? When Arahants see Buddha or they see each other, they have also Kriya Chittas, not the Kusala. Kriya Chittas arises. Those are the Kamavachara Javana Chittas. How many altogether? There are 29. 12 Akusala, 1 Hasituppada, 8 Kamavachara Kusala or Mahakusala, 8 Kamavachara Sobhana Kriya or Mahakriya. Altogether how many? Altogether there are 29 Kamavachara Javana Chittas. Then Tadaramana, registration consciousness. Tadaramana we divide into two groups, Santirana and Mahavipaka. Investigating consciousness and Kamavachara resultant consciousness. Investigating 3, Santirana 3, Mahavipaka 8. Now let's count down. 1, Panchadvara Vajjana. Eye consciousness how many? 2. Receiving consciousness, Sampatichana 2. Investigating 3, Santirana 3. Determining Vattabhana 1. Kamajavana 29. Then Tadaramana, we have to exclude investigating. Why? Because we added investigating in investigating section. Therefore here At the end, we have to add only 8 Mahavipaka. Altogether, how many? 46. 1, 2, 2, 3, 1, 29 plus 8. Altogether, 46. You have to understand that all the chittas do not arise at once. For example, when it's a good object, the I consciousness, kusala vipaka, I consciousness arises. Wholesome resultant consciousness. For undesirable object, akusala vipaka, I consciousness. Unwholesome resultant, I consciousness arises. When lobha arises, at that time, one of the lobha chittas among the 8 arises. That's how thought process is going on. So we will learn that process in Vitti-pariccheda. The process, the chapter of the thought process or cognitive process. In that section, we will learn in detail, but this section is very, very important to learn thought process. This is just an outline for, this is like an outline of the thought process. Now we have understood that 46 chittas arise through I-do. Then let's move into the ear-do. When we understand I-do, so we have to substitute. Only we have to shift one section. That's only I consciousness. We have to add ear consciousness. Chittas arise through I-do. Similarly, when sound strikes with our eye, adverting consciousness arises, Panchadvāra vajjana. Then what happens? Then hearing consciousness, listening consciousness, that's ear consciousness arises. After that, sampatichchana citta, receiving consciousness, then investigating consciousness, santirana citta, determining consciousness, Vattabhana citta, one of the Kamavachara jhavanas, how many? Altogether 29, then Tadarammana 11. Altogether 46. I think now you can get the trick. How can we find chittas that arise through nose-do, tongue-do, and body-do? I think now you can get the method. How can we find out chittas arise through nose-do, tongue-do, and body-do? Please think a moment. So it's not easy, just you have to shift one section and you have to add one more. Instead of ear consciousness, you have to add nose consciousness in nose-do. Chittas arise through nose-do. First, when smell strikes in our nose, what happens? Five sense adverting consciousness, so Panchadvāra vajjana citta arises, then nose consciousness. After that, receiving consciousness. Sampatichana Chitta. After that, investigating consciousness, Samtirana Chitta. Then, determining consciousness, Vatabbana Chitta. Then, Kamavachara Javana, 29, Tadaramana. Similarly, 46. Yes, what is a special case? Nose consciousness. Yeah, two nose consciousness. That's the only thing we have to shift. Then chittas arise through tongue door. When we taste something, five sense door adverting consciousness arises. Panchadvara vajjana chitta. Then tongue consciousness arises. Then receiving consciousness, sampatichana chitta. After that, investigating consciousness, samtirana chitta, determining consciousness, vatabbana chitta. After that, kamavachara javana, finally, tadaramana. Similarly, 46. Then body door. Chittas arise through body door. When we feel something cold or heat or softness or hardness, at that time first it strikes object with our body sensitivity or body door. Then five sense door adverting consciousness arises, panchadvara vajjana. Body consciousness arises. If it's desirable object, pleasurable object, kusala vipaka, sukasagata kaya viññāna. If it's undesirable object, painful, akusala vipaka, dukkasagata kaya viññāna. Painful body feeling, body consciousness arises. Then receiving consciousness. For kusala vipaka, that's kusala vipaka. For akusala vipaka sampatichana. Investigating consciousness, samtirana chitta. Determining consciousness, vatabbana, kamavachara javanas, tadaramana, and then fell into the again bhavanga. Body door also in the body door, how many? 46 chittas arises. Arise. Okay. Now let's try to find out the easy way. Now you have already found. In five-door consciousness, we don't want to think about other chittas. Just pay attention for only kamavachara chittas. What should be done? Just take for 54 kamavachara chittas, then exclude the pancha viññāna. After that, if it's I-door, please add 2 chakka viññāna. Then how many? We can get 46 chittas. For ear-door, there are 40. First, we take 54 kamavachara chittas, exclude 10, 44. Then for ear-door, add ear-door consciousness, 2 sota viññāna. 46 chittas for ear-door. For nose-door, you have to add 2 nose consciousness, gāna viññāna. So then you will get 46. Similarly, jiva viññāna, kaya viññāna. 46 for each door. This is the easiest way to find out the chittas that arise in those 5 doors. Therefore, 5 doors are not so difficult. No. Now, let's pay attention for mind door. Chittas arise through mind door. Manodvāra vajjana, pancha paññāsa javana, tadaramana vasena. Satta sattya chittani bhavanti. That's a quotation given in Abhidhammattha Saṅgaha. How many sections? Manodvara Vajjana 1. Then Javana 55. Please recall your memory to our section of function. However, now we have already pay attention for Kama Javana, then let's pay attention for Appana Javana later on. Then Tadaramana. How many altogether? Satta Satti. In Pali, Satti means 60. Satta, 7. How many? 67 chittas. Okay. Think about how Manodvara, how mind or consciousness arises. When we think about our past, when we think about the future, or when we are doing meditation, mind or thought process arises. In Vitti-Paricceda, we will learn in detail, but in this section, just try to get an idea about mind. That's not a moment at the seeing, listening, smelling, tasting, and feeling some tangible objects. Except these 5 occasions, mind or thought process flows in our mind, taking those previous 5 objects or thinking about past and future and doing meditation. What happens first when object strikes with our bhavanga chitta? It vibrates and stops. Then Manodvara Vajjana chitta arises. Mind or adverting consciousness. Mind or adverting consciousness arises. Then it adverts towards our object. If our mind attached to that object, what happens? Lobha chitta may arise. If you get angry, at that time, dosamula chitta may arise. For restlessness, uddhacca. Doubt, vicikicca chitta arise. When we are doing wholesome actions, practicing sila or doing meditation, at that time, wholesome consciousness arises in our mind. For Arahants, for example, when Arahants preach Dhamma, when Buddha expounds Dhamma, at that time, Mahakiriya Chitta arises. Smiling, Hasutuppada. So those are the occasions of arising Kama Javanas. So let's see about Appana Javana. Please try to be familiar with these terms because when we are going to Vitti-Paricceda, the chapter of the cognitive process, so we just tell these names, then we should be familiar with these terms. Appana Javana, Rupavachara, Arupavachara, and Lokuttara. This is the term for those Javana Chittas. How many Appana Javana? Suppose someone practice meditation and get jhana through breathing meditation, anapanasati or kasana meditation, or loving kindness, whatever those jhana meditations. When ordinary person, no, Sekha or noble one except Arahants, attain jhana, Rupavachara Kusalas arises for Rupavachara jhanas. When they attain Arupavachara levels, Arupavachara Kusala Chittas arise. For Arahants or Buddha attain jhana. For example, Buddha enter into the Mahakaruna attainment of the great compassion. Rupavachara Kriya Chittas arise. When Arahants attain to Nirodha Samapatti, before Nirodha Samapatti they attain to Arupavachara consciousness. At that time Arupavachara Kriya Chittas arises. When someone attain path and fruition, Maggapala, Lokuttara Chittas arises. Sakadagami, Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arahatta. So these are the occasions of rising Appana Javanas. How many altogether Appana Javanas? Rupavachara 5 Kusala, Rupavachara Kusala 5, Rupavachara Kriya 5, Arupavachara Kusala 4, Arupavachara Kriya 4, Lokuttara 8. Altogether 5 plus 5 plus 10, then 4, 4, 8, 16. 10 plus 16, 26. Similarly, Tadaramana or registration consciousness, how many? 11. Here we don't want to separate because we didn't find registration previously. Therefore, we can add 11 altogether. How many altogether? How many Chittas rise in Mindo? 1 Manodvara Vajjana 5, sorry, 1 Manodvara Vajjana 55 Javana Chittas. We separate these Javanas into 2 groups, Kama Javana and Appana Javana. Kama Javana 29, Appana Javana 26. Manodvara Vajjana 1, Javana 55, altogether now 56. After that, 11 Tadaramana. 56 plus 11, 67. So altogether, 67 Chittas arise through mind door. Well, let's summarize. So we have to think only 2 numbers, 46 and 67. 46 for 5 doors, 67 for mind door. Then let's move into our final section. Now we see these Chittas within another angle, through another angle. Now here we find out the Chittas that arise through these doors. Now let's find the Chittas that arises through 1 door, through 5 doors, through 6 doors. Before going to that, so just pay attention for also the Dvāra Vimutta Chitta, door-free consciousness. At the end, we will classify these door-free consciousness into 2 sections. In the beginning, just pay attention. What are the door-free consciousness? Mind door is called, we know, we already learned. Mind door is Bhavanga. Door themselves are doors. So they themselves are doors. Therefore, the door will not arise through a door. For example, door is not a door to that itself. That's why mind door is Bhavanga. Or mind door is Bhavanga Chitta. How many Bhavanga Chittas? Life continuum consciousness, there are 19. If it becomes door, they are not the Chittas that arise through that door. That's we call door freed. So we cannot call them as Dvāra Chittas. So these Bhavanga Chittas, 19 Bhavanga Chittas are called door freed consciousness. We divide these door freed consciousness into always door free and sometimes door free. Later on we will pay attention, we will focus on that topic. Here, just try to understand that 19 Bhavanga Chittas or life continuum consciousness are door-free. "19 Bhavanga Chittas are door-free. Now, let's pay attention for our next section. That's like a play. Now, let's try to make a play with those teachings what you have learned up to now. One door consciousness. In this case, we have to understand one door, 5 door, 6 door, and door free. So we can't find 2 door consciousness, 3, 4. We have 1, 5, 6, and door free. One door means not only one door, so just whatever chittas arise in one door. Suppose I consciousness. I consciousness arises only in I door. So how many? There are 2. Ear consciousness arises only in ear door. How many? 2. Nose consciousness arises in only nose door. How many nose consciousness? 2. Then tongue consciousness arises in only tongue door. Then body consciousness arises in only body door. How many? Altogether 10. In other words, we call the Pancha Vijnana. 2 eye consciousness, 2 ear consciousness, 2 nose consciousness, 2 tongue consciousness, 2 body consciousness. Then can you remember 26 javanas, appana javana? Appana javana. Let's move into that previous one. This appana javana. Rupavachara kusala, Rupavachara kiriya, Arupavachara kusala, Arupavachara kiriya, and Lokuttara chittas arise in only mind. So these are these appana javanas, these 26 appana javanas arise only in mind. So here 26 plus 10, how many altogether? 36. So how many chittas arise in only one door? 36. Eye door 2, ear door 2, nose door 2, tongue door 2, body door 2, mind door 26. 36 chittas arise in one door. So we call one door consciousness or ekadvarika chitta in Pali. Then 5 door consciousness. 5 door consciousness. It's easy, only 3. When it strikes visible object, Panchadvara Vajana arise to advert towards that object. For sound, smell, taste, and tangible objects, similarly, Panchadvara Vajana arises, not for other objects. After Panchadvara Vajana, one of receiving consciousness arises among 2, Samparichana. Altogether, 3. Also, we call Mano Dhatu. We will learn later on classification of Dhatu. 18 Dhatus, 18 elements. So here, Panchadvara Vajana and Sampatichana Chittas are called Mano Dhatu. So please keep in your mind this term, what we call Mano Dhatu, 2 Sampatichana and 1 Panchadvara Vajana. There are 3 chittas which arise in 5 door. Up to now we have learned 1 door consciousness, 36, 5 door consciousness, 3. Now remaining is 6 door consciousness. Now let's try. Here just you have to pay attention for it's quite difficult. Pay attention for Somanassa Samtirana. Because why we take this Somanassa Samtirana? It is not a Bhavanga Chitta. It is not a Patisandhi Chitta. Can you remember Patisandhi, Panchana Patisandhi? How many Chittas? 19. How many Patisandhi Chittas? In Ahetuka, there are 2. Upekka Sahagata Samtirana, Kusala Vipaka, Upekka Sahagata Samtirana, Kusala Vipaka. Those 2 Chittas perform Patisandhi, Bhavanga, Chuti, and Samtirana function. Also Tadaramana. So, but Somanassa Samtirana does not perform Patisandhi function. It performs Samtirana function, no Tadaramana function. For 5 door, it performs Samtirana, either 5 door or 6 door, the mind door, it performs Tadaramana function. So here, we focus for this Chitta. So we may forget this one. This is a little bit tricky, that's why. Then, for 5 door consciousness, determining consciousness arises, we call Vattabhana. In mind door, Manodvara Vajjana. In 5 door consciousness, when Vattabhana Chitta arises as determining, it can be arising, determining visible object, sound, smell, or tangible object, taste or tangible objects. So this, because Manodvara Vajjana Chitta has 2 functions. Can you remember in the section of function? Vattabhana and Avajjana function. Determining function and adverting function. So it performs determining function in 5 doors. It performs mind adverting function in mind, Manodvara Vajjana. So here, therefore, we can get Manodvara Vajjana in 6 doors. Then Kamavachara Javanas. Seeing something, listening, tasting, smelling, feeling tangible object. Attachment, anger, or wholesome nature may arise. Also, when you contemplate, when you think about past, when you think about our beloved persons and enemies, and the attachment and may anger arises. Think about our wholesome actions, what we have done previously, how we donated. At that time, wholesome consciousness arises through mind. For Arahant, it's Kriya Chitta. Kamavachara Javana, 6 door consciousness. There are 29 Kamavachara Javanas. Arise in 6 door. Either eye door, ear door, nose door, tongue door, body door, or mind door. Altogether, how many? 29 plus 2, 31. 31 chittas arise in 6 door. That means it doesn't, they do not arise at once. One chitta arises in mind process only in one time. That means when we take in overall picture, how many cittas always arise through 6 doors? There are 31. 29 Kama Javana and Manudvara Vachana and Santirana. Altogether 31. Now let's move into the door-free consciousness. How many door-free consciousness? There are 19. Let's try to remind it. Patisandhi, Bhavanga, Chuti Chittas. How many? 19. What are them? Inahetuka, Upekka Sagata, Santirana, Kusala Vipaka, Upekka Santirana, Kusala Vipaka, 2. Then, Kamavachara Vipaka, how many? 8. Rupavachara Vipaka, 5. Arupavachara Vipaka, 4. These 19 chittas performs Patisandhi, Bhavanga, Chuti functions. There are some specific functions for some chittas, just generally we say these 19 chittas are door-free, but not always all the chittas. Rupavachara Vipaka and Arupavachara Vipaka always door-free. Why? What is the reason? Please pay attention for the functions again. Because these Rupavachara 5 Vipaka and Arupavachara 4 Vipaka chittas perform only Patisandhi, Bhavanga and Chuti. They do not perform Santirana or Tadarammana function. They always arise as either Patisandhi or Bhavanga or Chuti. Therefore, we call these 9 chittas, Rupavachara Vipaka 5, Arupavachara Vipaka 4 are always door-free. Ekanta Dvāra Vimutta Chitta in Pali. Why sometimes door-free and sometimes 6 doors? Suppose when Vipaka Chitta arises as Bhavanga, that is in that time door-free. Upekka Santirana Chittas arises as Bhavanga, life continuum. In that time, they are door-free. But Mahavipaka Chittas arises as Tadarammana, registration function. At that time, they are not door-free because they have another function. They do not have life continuum function at that time. Similarly, Pekka Santirana arises as Santirana function or Tadarammana function. At that time, they are not door-free. So they have another function. They have another work to do. When they arise as life continuum, they are door-free. Bhavanga, they are door-free. But they perform another function apart from Bhavanga, either Tadarammana or Santirana. They are not door-free. That's why we call sometimes 6 doors and sometimes door-free. So how many? There are 10 chittas. 8 Mahavipaka and 2 Upekha Santirana chittas. Sometimes 6 door, sometimes door-free. Here we divide 2 sections in actually. First we understood what are the doors, then the chittas that arise through doors. Then we classify the chittas into 1-door consciousness, 5-door consciousness, and 6-door consciousness. Door-free, 2 sections, always door-free and sometimes door-free. So let's summarize again. How many doors? There are 6 doors. eye door, ear door, nose door, tongue door, body door, and mind door. How many chittas arise through eye door? There are 46. 44 Kamavachara chittas, and we have to add 2 eye consciousness. Similarly, ear door 46, nose door 46, tongue door 46, body door 46. For mind door, how many chittas? Mind door, there are 67 chittas. What are them? Manodvāra Vajjana, 55 Javana, 11 Tadaramana, 67. Then how many chittas? For door free, generally 19. Then we classify chittas into 1 door, 5 door, 6 door, and door free. How many chittas? For 1 door, 26 Appana and Dipancha Viññāna, 36 chittas. For 5 door, 3 chittas, Panchadvara Vajjana and 2 Sampatichana chittas. For mind door, so I think this is only one difficult section. So you have to pay much more attention for this. 6 door consciousness. So Manasa Santirana, Uttabbana or Manodvāra Vajjana, and 29 Kamajavana. How many chittas? 31 chittas arise through 6 doors. Then door free 19. Rupavachara, Rupavachara Vipaka 9, always door free. How many always door free? 9 chittas. Sometimes arise through 6 doors, sometimes door free. Mahavipaka 8 and Pekka Santirana 2. So these are the things we have to summarize in this lesson. Next week we will do the final section of the chapter 3. That's basis or Vattu. Also, please pay attention for previous sections. So as I mentioned that it's like a chain connected with each other. So after the next lesson, we can finish chapter 3. Then we will make a review again for chapter 3. I think this is enough for today's lesson. Today we have discussed doors. What are the doors? What are the chittas arises in doors? Then we classify these doors and the chittas with regards to 1 door, 5 door, 6 doors, and door free. Okay. Let's conclude our class by sharing merits to Devas and all the beings. Idamme ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. Idamme ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. Idamme ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. Ittavata ca ammehi sambhatam punya sampadam sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata ca ammehi sambhatam punya sampadam sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata ca ammehi sambhatam punya sampadam sabbe sattha anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ākāsattha ca bhummattha deva nāga mahitthika puññantam anumoditvā ciran rakkhantu sambuddha sāsanam. Ākāsattha ca bhummattha deva nāga mahitthika puññantam anumoditvā ciran rakkhantu sambuddha desanam. Ākāsattha ca bhummattha deva nāga mahitthika puññantam anumoditvā ciran rakkhantu sambuddha sāvake ciran rakkhantu mantaram. Buddha Sāsanam Ciran Tiṭṭhatu, Buddha Sāsanam Ciran Tiṭṭhatu, Buddha Sāsanam Ciran Tiṭṭhatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.